Recently, in Star vs. the Forces of Evil, many questions have been piling up. At the top of these questions, one has been lingering for over a year now, and that is, where is Eclipsa's husband? Well, let's talk about that today on Mewni Mayhem. Welcome back to Mewni Mayhem on the Roundtable. I'm Vox, and Eclipsa's monster husband has been eluding the fandom for quite some time. Ever since he first appeared in Eclipsa's Tapestry and Into the Wand way back in Season 2, there's been a lot of speculation of, well, who is he? What is his significance? Why did Eclipsa fall for him? And as the show progressed and we saw Eclipsa was crystallized within Roundtable's domain, leading into her proper reintroduction to the show, fans were still scratching their heads. If she's alive, where is her husband? And with recent developments of Meteora being the daughter of Eclipsa, this question has only dominated. We want to see a family reunion. Is that going to happen? Well, there's a lot of factors and scenarios here that I want to run through. The first factor, just who was Eclipsa's husband? Well, I think we can safely assume he was someone of importance. That he was powerful and well respected among the monsters, because as we've come to discover, the monster temple that Toffee and Ludo resided in, and that Mina was spotted hiding out in for some time, was actually Meteora's original home, or at least a nursery of some sorts for her, as she had an entire room protected by her own magic that had toys, a cradle, and even an artistic depiction of Eclipsa and her daughter, surrounded by monster eyes, demonstrating that Eclipsa was more in with the monsters than she ever was with the humans. And I don't see any run-of-the-mill monster just residing in this temple, especially with the way the Magic High Commission reacts to this temple. Every time it's brought up, it's always in a negative connotation. In the Season 2 finale Star Crushed, Moon was very condescending towards Ludo, and Ludo honestly has no idea where he is. But Moon makes a point to Ludo's intentions being evil solely because he resides in this temple. And while they don't go in depth with it, that context alone shows that, at least in the past, it was nothing but bad news. And in Monster Bash, Romulus was very quick to tease all festivities occurring, but when Star asked what was so bad about this place, he wasn't really able to provide much information. But it's Romulus. I feel as if out of the entire High Commission, he possesses the least knowledge out of everybody. And he's definitely the most kind-hearted. After all, he was the one who blabbed about what happened to Meteora. We also have to consider Toffee. Even if he's seemingly dead for the time being within the series, and even though it wasn't outright said, it's a pretty safe assumption that Toffee brought Ludo to the Monster Temple through the wand, meaning this was a location Toffee was familiar with. And when you pair that idea up with the knowledge that Toffee knew of Eclipsa's chapters, luring Ludo into opening up a page out of them, it's very likely he was familiar with the Queen of Darkness at some point in his life. It doesn't end there. Meteora also knows Rasicor, a bounty hunter who happens to be Septarian, the same species as Toffee. And considering the attachment Meteora had towards Rasicor, nursing him back until he fully regenerates, and we saw Rasicor in the past, and Toffee's group of monster rebels, it all leads to there being a missing piece in Meteora's past that we have yet to explore. Frankly, I'm under the impression that both Rasicor and Toffee served Eclipsa's husband, and I believe the monster war that happened during Solaria the Monster Carver's time was a separate one from the war that ended in the death of Moon's mother. What would spark another human monster war? Well, the death of a very important figure in the monster community. This monster being Eclipsa's husband. When Eclipsa was crystallized, when Meteora was switched her Festivia, it's very possible Eclipsa's husband, who for now I'll just dub the King of Monsters, was either arrested and executed or slain by someone on Mewni, sparking another war. Whether if it was immediate or lasted hundreds of years. It raged on well into Moon's mother's time as queen, Moon's mother being Comet Butterfly. The fact Comet Butterfly worked out a treaty with the monsters, one that was on the verge of being signed until she was slaughtered by Toffee and his monsters, shows that she had some compassion. Definitely more than Moon, although we can't necessarily penalize Moon, as the death of Comet is what impacted her to become the woman she is today. So why would Toffee and his monsters even kill Comet, especially when it's on the verge of a treaty? Well, not only wasn't the treaty good enough for Toffee, but he figured, you killed my king, I'm gonna kill your queen. Also pay attention to the fact that Moon referred to Toffee as the general, so I do believe that was his role when serving Eclipsa's husband, and by extension, it makes sense that Toffee knew the truth of Mewni. That Festivia wasn't really related by blood, blood to Eclipsa, and perhaps his hopes in taking out Comet was that it was the first step in his plan to get Meteora in the throne of Mewni. But obviously that did not work out. So yes, I'm saying the biggest scenario is that Eclipsa's husband was someone who was important and powerful, and was killed for possible crimes against humanity around the time Eclipsa and Meteora was taken away, spiraling into the current conflict we have now. Alternatively, a lot of people have been looking towards a certain Season 3 promo that features what appears to be a human arm transforming to that of a monster arm. Not just any monster arm, but the arm of Eclipsa's husband. While I personally believe this is a Meteora transformation, either from a flashback or maybe even present day episode, but some have gone out on a limb and said Eclipsa's husband faked his own death and disguised himself as an ordinary everyday human. And this clip right here is him coming out of the shadows to reunite with his wife and daughter. That's another possibility. Something else I've seen being thrown around is the possibility of Eclipsa's husband being crystallized as well. But we did not see him in Romulus' domain, and I feel like that's another detail they would have drawn attention to. But if you ask me, his execution is the most likely outcome. That he is no longer among the world of the living, but that doesn't mean he can't come back. As we've seen resurrection as a plot point in the show before, with Tom bringing Mackie Ham back to life, back when him and Marco were on rather tense terms. Nevertheless, expect to see this addressed in the show fairly soon, especially as we dive more and more into Meteora's origins. But this was just a little casual theory I wanted to share with you all. What do you guys think? Yay or nay? Do you agree with any of these scenarios? And if not, what's your idea? What do you believe happened to Eclipsa's monster husband? Comment down below or tweet your thoughts directly to me at OstricVox or at the Roundtable on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at Roundtable Vids. If you want to help us grow, become a member on Patreon. The $3 membership can get your name at the end of the video and a bunch of cool other perks. Link in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please sort of like, share, and if you're new here, subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications to stay in the loop with all things Star. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. OstricVox out.